Ever felt like someone's right behind you, even when you're completely alone? Tonight, I'm revealing 3 true gym horror stories so chilling, they'll make you question every shadow you see. Have you ever felt completely alone, yet like someone is watching you? Tonight, I'm sharing the top 3 true gym horror stories that will make your skin crawl. These aren't fake tales, real people, real fear, and moments so chilling you'll never look at a gym the same way again. 1. The Midnight Treadmill Shadow. I had always been someone who liked working out late at night. The gym near my apartment was open 24/7, and most people avoided it after 10 p.m. I loved it that way, quiet, almost peaceful, a place where I could be alone with my thoughts. That night, I decided to push myself a little harder, running on the treadmill longer than usual. The place was dimly lit, only a few flickering fluorescent lights were on. I didn't think much of it at first. As I ran, I noticed something strange out of the corner of my eye, a shadow moving unnaturally fast across the floor just past the rows of treadmills. I stopped for a moment, thinking maybe it was a reflection or just my imagination, but the feeling in my gut told me otherwise. It wasn't just a trick of light, something was there. I shrugged it off, telling myself it was probably one of the cleaning staff leaving early, but then I heard it, the sound of shoes against the floor, faint but deliberate, slow steps following me. My heartbeat quickened, and I could feel the sweat on my neck, not from running, but from fear. I looked around. The gym was empty. Every other machine stood motionless, no sign of anyone else. I tried to convince myself it was my mind playing tricks, but then, while I was running again, I saw it clearly, a shadowy figure just at the edge of my vision, moving beside the treadmill next to mine. It had no distinguishable features, just dark, shifting shape, and it mimicked my movements perfectly. My legs froze. My throat felt tight. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. I stepped off the treadmill, trying to make myself calm. "I know it's just a trick," I whispered. I checked every corner with the lights on my phone. Nothing. The lockers, the weight racks, the empty yoga mats. Nothing. I started jogging again, slower this time, but the shadow returned, always at the edge of sight, just mimicking, just waiting. Panic started to set in. I couldn't tell if it was real or some hallucination brought on by exhaustion. I decided to grab my water bottle, planning to leave immediately afterward. That's when I noticed something impossible, the reflection in the glass wall in front of the treadmills. The shadow was there, standing still, watching me. I froze completely. My heart was pounding so loudly I thought it might be heard across the empty gym. I don't know how long I stood there, paralyzed. Eventually, I forced myself to grab my bag and walk to the exit. Every step felt heavier than the last, every flicker of light a reminder that something was still there. When I reached the door, I looked back one last time. The shadow was gone, just an empty gym, dark and silent.
I told myself it was over, but I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it, watching, following, waiting. I haven't returned to the gym at night since. Even during the day, I feel uneasy, as if it's still there, just hiding in the corners where I can't see it. I know it sounds insane, but it felt real, more real than anything I've ever experienced. And that's what scares me the most.
2 story, Locked Inside the Empty Gym.
It was a Thursday night, and I was one of the last people in the gym. I usually came after work when it was nearly empty, but that night felt different. There was a heaviness in the air, a quiet tension I couldn't explain. I started my usual routine, lifting weights and moving through the machines, trying to shake off the strange feeling creeping up my spine. About an hour into my workout, I decided to finish with the treadmill near the back wall. That's when I noticed the lights flickering more than usual, and the hum of the air conditioner sounded off, like it was breathing. I shrugged it off, assuming my mind was just tired. The gym had been open late for years, and I never thought anything unusual could happen here. I was halfway through my run when I heard the first click of a door shutting. At first, I ignored it, thinking maybe the staff was leaving, but then I realized the sound came from the front entrance. I stopped, my pulse jumping. The gym was supposed to be open for a few more hours, but the main door had locked itself behind someone, or something. I ran to the entrance to check, but the handle didn't budge. I was trapped. Panic set in slowly, creeping into my chest like ice water. I checked my phone, no signal. I tried calling out, but my voice sounded small and swallowed by the empty gym. Every step I took echoed unnaturally, making me feel like someone or something was listening. Then I started hearing it, soft footsteps, slow, deliberate, circling around the machines. I stopped moving, straining to see in the dim lights. Nothing, just the shadows of equipment stretching across the floor. My hands were shaking as I reached for the emergency exit, hoping it would open, but the door stayed firmly locked. Minutes felt like hours. I sat down on a bench, trying to calm myself, but the noises didn't stop. Whispers? I couldn't tell, but there was a faint sound, almost like someone murmuring my name. I told myself it was stress, imagination, anything but reality. Yet the feeling of being watched was undeniable. I could feel eyes on me, heavy and cold, even though I was alone. Finally, I decided to investigate. I moved slowly around the gym, keeping my back to the wall. Every shadow seemed to twitch. Every reflection in the mirrors seemed off. At one point, I swore I saw a figure standing near the weight racks, just barely visible. But when I turned, nothing was there. My heart was racing so fast, I felt dizzy. Hours or maybe minutes later, I heard the door click again. The main entrance had unlocked, and I bolted out, not looking back. My bag was still on the bench, my towel draped over a machine, but I didn't care. I didn't stop running until I was outside in the cold night air. I could feel my chest heaving, sweat cooling quickly on my skin. I never went back to that gym after midnight. Even during the day, when the lights are on and people are around, I can't shake the memory of being trapped, hearing footsteps that shouldn't exist, and feeling that someone or something was just waiting for me in the shadows. I tell people it's just a gym, just machinery and echoes, but deep down, I know what I felt that night was real. 3. The Invisible Spotter. I had been going to this gym for years, but there was one night that still haunts me. I was training alone, late evening, the gym nearly empty. I decided to work on bench presses that day, pushing myself harder than usual. I was confident, experienced, and used to lifting without anyone spotting me. But that night, something felt off the moment I lay down on the bench. I started my first set, lowering the barbell carefully, feeling the familiar weight in my hands, but then I sensed it. An unusual pressure, almost like someone's hands were there to steady the bar. My eyes darted around. The gym was empty. No one was in sight. My heart skipped, but I chalked it up to fatigue. Maybe I had imagined it. I continued my set, but every rep felt heavier than it should. It was subtle at first, just a tiny weight shift, but enough to make me struggle slightly more than usual. Then it happened again. Before I could even lift the bar for the next rep, I felt it, a force guiding the weight upwards, like someone was helping me without touching me. My stomach dropped. I sat up, staring at the empty space in front of me.
I convinced myself to finish the set, thinking maybe my mind was playing tricks after a long day at work. But when I went for my second set, the sensation returned, stronger this time. The barbell didn't feel entirely mine. It moved with a rhythm I didn't control. My hands were shaking, not from strain, but from fear. The hairs on my arms stood on end. I couldn't see anyone, but I could feel a presence, watching, assisting, and waiting. I dropped the bar gently and stepped back, my breathing ragged. I tried to talk to myself, rational explanations like it's just fatigue or you're imagining things.
But deep down, I knew something else was there, something unseen. Every sound, the hum of the AC, the faint clang of weights, felt amplified, echoing in the empty gym like a warning. I gathered courage for one more attempt, but my muscles froze halfway through the lift. The invisible pressure was real, guiding, controlling. My eyes scanned every corner, cardio machines, dumbbells, the mirrored walls, empty. I was alone, yet not alone. I could feel someone or something closely monitoring me. Every instinct screamed to stop, yet curiosity kept me rooted. By the end of the session, I left the bench trembling. I couldn't explain it rationally, and I wasn't ready to. Even as I walked to the locker room, I kept turning my head, half expecting a figure to emerge from the shadows. The fluorescent lights flickered above, casting brief shadows across the empty rows of machines. I couldn't shake the sensation that someone had been there all along, just beyond sight, ensuring I survived the wait, silently observing. I never returned to that gym alone at night again. Even during the day, when staff and members were around, I felt uneasy, like the invisible spotter was still present, just waiting for the right moment. I've told friends about it, and they laugh it off, calling it imagination. But I know what I felt was real. I could feel it, the weight shift, the unseen hands, the cold presence that wasn't human, guiding me silently. Even now, weeks later, I can't forget the sensation. The invisible spotter might have been a ghost, or maybe my mind, but one thing is certain, I never felt more alone and watched at the same time in my life. That night changed how I trained forever, and it left a mark I can't erase, a memory too vivid to ignore.